Hey there, I'm Rich Henderson, co-creator and chief mentor of the Amazing Selling Machine program. And in this short video, I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to source products to sell under your own brand on Amazon from literally anywhere in the world. Now, I've just got back from the Canton Fair in China, where I went to find more suppliers and products. However, the true beauty of this physical products business is that you can do this without even leaving your house. Many of our most successful members have done just that and have never been to China. Many of them have said they never have any interest in setting foot in China either, because they can do this all from the comfort of their own home. So let's go inside and I'll show you exactly how to do this on your computer. So the best place to source products from overseas without actually going overseas is Alibaba, which is alibaba.com. You can see it on the screen. Now, it does have its pros and cons, but we've been using it for 7 years now, and I've tried all the other options out there, and none come close. Now, this whole thing is a pretty straightforward process, and it involves 3 main steps. The first is finding suppliers for your product. Then you're going to contact suppliers that you've found, and finally, the third step is to choose the best supplier. Now, we'll be covering all these steps as we go through this video, but let's get started. First of all, what is Alibaba? Essentially, it's just a directory of suppliers, including factories and trading companies, and as we said, it is the best place to find products overseas. The biggest concern people have with Alibaba is that many of the listings are for trading companies and not the actual factories. And you'll hear many people say that moving forward with a physical products business, the only option is to deal directly with factories. Well, this is simply not true. Building a relationship with a trading company can be just as beneficial, and in fact, when you're first starting out, it can be more beneficial than dealing direct with a factory. When it comes down to it, it's all about building relationships, and you'll discover that as we go further into this video. So to get started, all you want to do is simply type the product you're looking for into the search box. So I've typed in self-inflating sleeping pad. Now, first of all, I'm not recommending this as a product you should be sourcing. This is just an example, and I've actually used this product before in other training. But once you've typed your product in, it might well give you categories and other options. If you see another option that looks like it might have more results, then choose that. But in this case, I'm not going to choose camping mat. I'm just going to click on search. Now, at this point, you can click on suppliers. But we strongly recommend you stick with products. It gives better results. But as you can see, we've got 3,560 products. That's obviously going to be way too many to search for. So we're going to narrow down this list. The first thing we're going to click on here is trade assurance. This is something Alibaba offer to give you more confidence in the suppliers. And it's basically a free service. You can see underneath that protects your orders from payment to delivery. So if we check that box, it's going to reload. You can see that most of the suppliers on here have this, and we can take it a step further by clicking on verified supplier. Now, it's worth noting here, verified supplier is something that the suppliers pay for, but again, it also gives you a little bit more confidence in the supplier. But I'm going to check the box and we'll see how many products we lose. You can see we're down to 500, which is a lot more manageable. So we're down to 500. Now, you can also choose the country you want to source from. The vast majority of products on Alibaba will be in China. However, you'll also find other countries like Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, and the suppliers and products from these countries are on the increase. So we've narrowed down our list. Now what we need to do is start looking at suppliers and deciding which ones we want to contact. The number of suppliers you contact is completely up to you. Again, the more people you contact, the more likely you're going to get better results. At this stage, we'd highly recommend you contact a minimum of 10 suppliers. So for the sake of this video, we're going to assume we're looking for something just like this. You can see this sleeping pad here. It's meant for camping. And so that's the product we're looking for. In other words, we've done our research on products to find a good, viable product that we know we can sell. And this is the one we came up with. So we're only going to be looking for products that match this. So the first thing we look at here is they're showing you the price. Now, under no circumstances assume that this is the actual price you're going to get. Just remember, these listings are intended to attract your attention. And you may find that once you start contacting them, that the price is different. Now, underneath the price, if they show it, you'll see the minimum order quantity. Now, for the most part, we want to be looking for between 100 and 500 for our MOQ. This is saying 10, but again, you need to take that with a pinch of salt. It might not actually be the case when you contact them. But this is looking pretty good. The price looks reasonable, and what you'll normally find is the lower price is for a higher MOQ, and that the higher end of the price range is for the lower MOQ. But you can also take a look at the images by clicking on the arrows. You don't have to actually open up the listing right now. You can see this looks pretty professional. They've got some really good pictures, and that's something to look for too. This shows that this is probably going to be a good company. Then you can also look on the right here and you can see they've been in business 15 years, which is good. That's a really long time. You'll see a lot of these that have less. Personal experience with this, you want to be looking for at least a year. And the longer the term, again, it gives you a little bit more confidence in that company, and they're still on here, which means they haven't been getting a lot of negative feedback, which has led them to be removed. The response rate's pretty good. It's 96.3%. To be quite honest, anything over 75% is good. And they've actually got 76 reviews about them. Again, not overly concerned about this, but just like when you're looking for a product on Amazon, a higher rating and a higher number of reviews points to a company that's been around longer. So these are all things you should look at. At this point, I'm actually quite pleased with this listing, and I'm going to open this in a new tab so that I can go back to it. And that's going to be one of the companies that I'm going to contact. So we'll keep moving down. This next one, Wenju Kai's Outdoor Products. They've been around 2 years. Again, that's fine. 85% response rate. Again, that's good. They've only got 5 reviews. It's 4.9. It's not a big deal. We're looking at the price here. You can see they've got a huge difference in price range here. $7.60 all the way up to $25. I would take a wild guess and say $25 is for one unit. In other words, looking for a sample, something like that. And again, they've got an MOQ here, 100 pieces. So this looks okay to me. So again, I'm going to open this in a new tab. And this is the way I like to do things. I'll go through and find at least 10 before I even start contacting them. So this next one's a little bit different. You can see the image here. It's not exactly the one we're looking for. So I'm going to skip that one. The next one. This looks similar. Looks like they've got 2 different colors. You can always scroll through the images. I like this. Look, they're showing that it can be folded over. Again, it's got good images. And remember, when you first launch, if you haven't got time or money to actually create images for yourself, that you're going to be able to use their images. You can ask them. I mean, this would be a great infographic to put on your Amazon listing. Again, they've got some fabulous images here. You can see they do a multiple range of colors. This has got me quite excited. You can see they've been around for 9 years. The response rate is good. They've got 5 stars on 40 reviews. Again, that's really good. The price they're saying is $16. You notice straight away that they're only saying that they've only put one price here. That's not going to be the case. They are going to have multiple ranges. It's about getting you to look. So I'm going to open another one. We'll go and grab one more example. Just scrolling through these images. Not overly impressed with their images. But again, they've been around 8 years. You can see they've got a good response rate and they've got good reviews. So again, it might be another company that I open up. So this is how you do it. You just scroll through all these options. You can see how many there are. You can see just by me scrolling down, there's multiple versions and types of this. If we were looking for a specific one, you can see this is another example. But you want to keep going through. And again, you want to make sure that you go past the first page. You can see like there's 10 pages of this. So we're going to assume we've been through all these. I'm now going to open up the individual listings. Now, something that's important here, and it's something you will see we ask for when we contact them, is the lead time. They've actually got it on here right away. You also want to look at customized logo, which means they can put a logo on the product for you. You can see to do that, it's a minimum of 50 pieces. But all of these things you need to verify. It's all very well them being on their listing, but to actually know for sure, you have to contact the supplier themselves. So when it actually comes to contacting the supplier, there's only one method we recommend, and that is to use the Contact Supplier button within Alibaba. And we recommend moving forward when you go back and forth that at least for your initial negotiations, you stick to Alibaba. This is really important because it means that you've got a record of that, and also Alibaba can see that too, so that if any issues come up and you're using Trade Assurance, that Alibaba can see what you've been promised to. So I've actually logged in. You can see the screen's a little bit different. There's this button on the side, Contact Supplier, Chat Now, and Browsing History. Again, you can use Chat Now, but the best results you're going to get is using Contact Supplier. Then all you need to do is literally click on Contact Supplier. Now at this point, sometimes it gives you the option to say how much quantity you want. If it does, just put in 500 for now, and then the message you send them. So the first thing to point out here is, again, you're going to see a lot of people out there recommend you just pretend you're a buyer, but we strongly recommend you tell the truth. You make the decisions. You're the company owner or CEO or whatever title you've got for your company. Basically, this comes down to building a relationship with your supplier. It's absolutely critical that you build a strong relationship with your supplier. And that starts right from the first message you ever send them. We're telling you you're going to be contacting at least 10 suppliers, but At this point, you don't know which supplier you're going to end up choosing. So building that relationship with them from the start is vitally important. So always be straight up. Now, we've got templates we use for contacting suppliers, but we always try and change them up a little bit so that every supplier doesn't get exactly the same template. At the end of the day, you just want to be asking them specific questions. So here's an example of what you can say at the start of your email. So you start off with "my name is," and then you obviously insert your full name. "I'm the owner of," and the company name. "A company specializing in products for," and then basically put your industry or area of interest. "We are currently looking to expand our product line and are interested in one of the items that you manufacture," and then you insert the product name, and you can insert a link to that product on Alibaba too. What you're going to ask them next is critically important. Now, going back to the whole thing about building a relationship, you don't want to ask them 20 questions in the first email you contact them with. There's numerous reasons for this. The main two are, first of all, it's just going to be very confusing for the person trying to answer you. As time goes by, these companies, these suppliers, these manufacturers, these trading companies, they're getting better and better at communicating. They're employing more and more staff that speak fluent English. But at the end of the day, you need to remember, you need to keep things simple. Asking them 20 questions means they're going to have to answer 20 questions. And obviously that's more complicated. Plus, if you do this, you've got less to talk to them about afterwards. This is about building a level of trust with them. And to do that, we recommend you do it slowly and do it over time. Trying to rush them through and make a decision in the space of a week is not going to get you the best results. And also remember, you're contacting a lot of suppliers, not just one. So the first thing you want to know about is the MOQ. You want to know what their minimum order quantity is, and obviously the price for that minimum order quantity. The way we teach this has become pretty much a standard now in the industry, but you want to put something like this. What is the price per unit, including packaging, at the following MOQs? 100 to 500 pieces, 501 to 1,000 pieces, 1,001 to 5,000 pieces, and 5,001 and higher. We use this approach because we want the supplier to think that in the future we could be making much bigger orders. They may come back to you and say our minimum order quantity is 1,000. That's fine. Remember, you're contacting multiple suppliers, so it's less of an issue. But it's better to find out right from the start whether they're able to do this. Using this formula here means that if they give you prices for all of them, you know straight away, great, we can order something between 100 and 500. Then there's a few other questions you want to ask them. The first, you see right here, what is the standard production time for each order? Now, more often than not, they'll just give you a base figure. They'll say 30 or 60 days or something like that. Next, are you able to provide custom packaging? Again, using this terminology means that, they know what to expect, that they know that you know what you're talking about, which is also critically important. And more often than not, most of these companies will be able to do that. So it's an easy win for them. They get to say, yes, we can do that for you. And they'll probably quote you a minimum MOQ for doing that. And again, that's great. If it's a product that comes in colors, like our sleeping pad right here, obviously comes in multiple colors. So what colors? You can add to that, obviously, like what colors do you provide? What colors are you capable of? Are there any differences in costs? Whatever, something along those lines. And then ask them about the package size, the package dimensions, when they're going to be shipping them. Again, it's showing them that you know what you're talking about, but it's also showing them that you're thinking about actually placing an order, because if you don't ask about shipping costs, then you might be just contacting them out of interest. And then you just want to give your name, title, and company. And that's it. That's your first inquiry, and that's enough to get you moving forward. So you would just send the inquiry. Obviously, I'm not going to send it now because I'm not interested in buying this and I don't want to waste their time. And then you would just send the inquiry. They will receive it and then they'll respond. So again, we recommend you do a minimum of 10. If it's 20, that's great. Remember to change up the wording on your templates a little bit. You would just follow through the process. So here's the next one. We open a new tab. You just click on Contact Supplier again and off you go. Now, before we go any further, I just want to touch on this whole relationship building thing again. Building relationship with people is a huge part of any business, but it's so critical when it comes to dealing with your suppliers. At the end of the day, having a supplier that wants to work with you as much as you want to work with them is going to make your business much more successful. Building that relationship will probably guarantee you get the best deal possible. And remember that when you're negotiating that offer, yes, you want to get the best price you can, but at the same time, if you're driving them down so low, they're not making money too, then the chances of building a good relationship and moving forward and using them for years is going to be slim. This has to be a two-way thing. Both sides of the equation have to win. If you get to a point where you win and the supplier wins, you've got the best supplier you possibly can. You're also probably going to get the best quality product. They like you, they trust you, they want to work with you. They're going to make sure that they do the best they can for you to get the best quality product you can. It's the two most important elements of any physical products business, is having a great product and having a great supplier. Also moving forward, this whole tit for tat thing, you're going to be in a better position if you've built a relationship with them to get improved terms further down the line. And that doesn't necessarily mean the best price. It could mean you get terms like paying 30% up front, then paying a further 30% when they ship, and then maybe 40%, long after it's arrived at Amazon. The length of time that they're willing to accept payments over is so important. It's not just about the actual price. If you can get them to be more open with you to doing deals like that and accepting payments later, it means the cash flow for your business is so much better. So building that relationship with your supplier is so, so important. And that's why going backwards and forwards multiple times with your emails is okay. It's a good thing. So that's it. That's how you get started. That's how you're going to go and do this. Obviously, once you've sent that first email, they're going to respond. And then, once you've got the answers you need for those questions you just asked, you can start asking them other questions. You can ask them about what's their payment terms. You can ask them, can they get high quality photographs done for you? Another great question to ask them, but not straight away in the second or third email, is ask them where their factory is. And the way you do that is you say, can you tell me where your factory is? Because obviously we'd like to have someone come and inspect the factory, or someone come and take a look at the factory, or something along those lines. Because not only does that show that you're serious and that you know what you're talking about, it's also showing them that you're not an idiot. You're going to get your product inspected, because at the end of the day, that's a great question to ask when you're asking them about samples. Obviously, the process here is you're going to contact 10 or more, and the more you contact, the better. You narrow down that list. We recommend you narrow it down to 2 or 3, and then you're going to request samples from those 3. And that, as I say, is a great time to say to them, oh, by the way, we'd love to have our agent come and visit your factory. Whereabouts are you based? Something on those lines. Now, there's going to be a cost with samples. They're not cheap. Don't necessarily ask them for a free sample. There's 2 things you can do. You can ask them, hey, if I cover the cost of the shipping, are you okay covering the cost of the sample? Or to be honest, the easiest way is just say to them, when I place my order, will you take the cost of this sample off my first order? Again, it's about building this level of trust. And if you're just like trying to save pennies, if you're like, that's what they're going to see. They're going to say, well, this guy's trying to save a few dollars. I'm like, can they be a real company? Are they a real company? Would a real big company do that? What does that mean for us going forward? So, again, you're going to see other people suggesting different ways of getting the products, the samples for free. I would say that's the least of your worries. Basically, just say to them, I'm happy to pay for the samples, as long as if I place an order, we take that off the cost of the first order. They will say yes automatically. I've never seen someone say no. And obviously, over the years, we've contacted a lot of suppliers and have had hundreds of samples sent too. So that's basically the process of how you find suppliers overseas for your products that you're going to sell on Amazon. Just to recap, step 1 is you use Alibaba.com to find suppliers for your product. Build a list of 10 to 15 or more if you want. And then step 2 is contact a minimum of 10 suppliers. Again, the more time and effort you put into this, the better your results are going to be. Step 3 is once you've contacted them and had a series of emails backwards and forwards with them to discuss your product and things like MOQ, price, and production time, then narrow down your list of suppliers to the best 3 that you've contacted. And then the last step, order samples from those 3 suppliers. And when you get them, use those samples along with the information you've collected about these suppliers to make your choice of the best supplier for your product. Now, if you want to know more about selling on Amazon and specifically more about finding suppliers abroad, then we have some awesome free training for you, and you can find that at AmazingSellingMachine.com. The free training there covers every aspect of starting a physical products business selling on Amazon. So if you want to see more content like this and see a more in-depth overview of how you find suppliers, then go to AmazingSellingMachine.com. But that's it for today. Take care.